So, you want to be a cosplayer. Maybe it started because you watched a new film that you've been completely obsessed with and now you want to dress like the character. Or maybe you're new to the world of cosplay and you just found out that there are professional cosplayers and they're inspiring you. But like, where do you start? Where is the starting line? How do people get into this? I've got you covered. What's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Jess, but you probably know me better as Female Peter Parker on most socials where I make Marvel skits. One of the questions that I get a lot as someone who owns a lot of costumes and works with a lot of cosplaying is like, how do you start cosplaying? And it's actually a lot easier than you think. You literally just have to start. It can be like a little intimidating or scary sometimes because you're like, oh my gosh, like there's so many pieces to this. How do I find this part of the costume? What am I looking for like this makeup effect? And so I'm going to show you guys how to break this down super easily if you're new to cosplay and an easy way to get into it without breaking your bank account. And to do that, we are going to break down what I call the 3 levels of cosplay. The easiest way to think about this is to think of it as video game levels. So we have easy, intermediate, and hard. The first level, the easier level, is called closet cosplaying. Closet cosplaying is exactly how it sounds. It's making a cosplay using only items that you already own in your closet. This is a really easy way to get into cosplaying without paying for a cosplay, and it's also a way to kind of prep you for future steps in cosplay too, because it helps you get really innovative and figure out things that you already have that you can add to a cosplay costume. I started this way and it was really fun. One of the easiest ways to do this is to just like look at a character, find things that kind of match their color scheme. Sometimes it's even helpful to make kind of like a vision board of what you're thinking of. For certain characters, this is easier. Like for Marvel characters, you can find pictures of them wearing normal everyday clothes, not their super suits or anything, and kind of try to replicate those. And then you have characters like Disney princesses that don't really have normal everyday clothes because they have like ball gowns and stuff. But that's where Disney bounding comes in. If you haven't heard of Disney bounding, a short, quick introduction to that is like, it's closet cosplaying, but you do it as Disney characters in the Disney parks. So you'll make an outfit inspired by Winnie the Pooh, and so you'll wear lots of yellows and reds. Or you do a Spider-Man themed outfit, so you'll wear like a Spider-Man t-shirt and maybe like Spidey shoes. So if you think of this kind of like Disney bounding, it's kind of similar to that. So I'll give you all an example of a closet cosplay that I did when I first started. My very first time cosplaying was as Wanda for New York Comic Con in 2019. I was super excited. I'd never been to a Comic Con, I've never cosplayed before, and it's always been something I've wanted to do, so I remember like I was so excited for this. And so essentially what I did was I looked up a bunch of pictures of Wanda in Age of Ultron, and I kind of figured out like, okay, she has the black dress, she has the red jacket, she wears these boots, she has like hand gloves that she wears a lot of rings if you're not doing the hand gloves. If you're planning to do like makeup, you can look at their makeup, and so Wanda had kind of like a smokier eye for that, so I did that for her. And I just found things literally in my closet that kind of matched the vibe. They weren't exactly like what she was wearing, but it was definitely something I could see her wearing as a character. So I had this black sundress that I had bought a long time ago, threw that on. I had a red jacket that I got from Charlotte Russe and I put that over it. I did end up purchasing a few things, but if you happen to have these, you can like literally just add them to your outfit. So I did buy these knee-high socks to go with it and the boots because I didn't have black boots at the time. But the great thing about that was that it's something that I can wear for outfits in my closet every day. It isn't like when you buy a Spider-Man suit, like I'm not gonna wear a Spider-Man suit to the grocery store. I mean, you can, I've done it. But, you know, so that's kind of the good thing about closet cosplaying too, is you can buy things. You don't have to limit yourself to not buying things for your cosplay. But because they're average everyday clothes that the characters could wear, you can wear them as casual cosplays or add the pieces of clothes that you buy into your wardrobe. And it's a super quick and easy way to just get into that kind of mindset of like, okay, this is a costume that I'm wearing, and this is what the character would wear. And it kind of like builds your confidence a little bit too, because you're like, yeah, like you wake up, you put it on, you're like, this is a Peter Parker outfit, this is a Kate Bishop outfit, you know, like this is an Ariel outfit, like whoever you're cosplaying. It's so much fun. It's such a fun way to get started. And now we're moving on to level 2, which I like to call the intermediate level. The intermediate level of cosplaying is when you've kind of graduated from this area of like, okay, I've closet cosplayed enough, I want an actual suit. I want a super suit. I want a princess ball gown. I want props. I want special effects makeup. You want to get really into that stuff. And so this level is the level where you start buying your cosplay suits. Maybe you don't know how to make your own costumes, or you want to, but you just don't have enough time, or you don't know how to. This is a great way to get that superhero costume or that Disney princess ball gown without having to like put in physical work yourself. But obviously this is where it starts to cost you money. I think the hardest part of this level is that you have to do a lot of research. It's not as easy as just going on a website and being like, okay, I'm gonna buy that, and you purchase it. It's not like that. There are probably hundreds of cosplay companies out there. You kind of have to search around and figure out which ones are going to be your favorites. You can look up reviews, look into what your favorite cosplayers do for their costumes, because I guarantee you some of them have probably bought some of them. YouTube's going to be your best friend for this. You can just put the company name and review, and it videos will pop up with reviews, hopefully on the company or even on the specific piece you're looking for. Usually when I'm looking into a cosplay company for the first time, I just look up the company, and if someone had a good review or a good experience with a certain costume they had, even if it's not the specific one I'm looking at, then at least you can be like, okay, this sounds like a good company to buy from. I know that I'm gonna get the costume I'm looking for, the quality's good. Like I was mentioning in closet cosplay, you can always start small with this. You can always buy pieces for your closet cosplaying. That still counts as buying your costumes. It's kind of like an in-between of the two levels, I like to think. And you can kind of work your way up into buying a full cosplay outfit. Might take a little bit of budgeting. Sometimes they can be a little expensive depending on what you're looking at and what company you want to buy from. And just remember too that when you're buying the costume, you're not just buying an outfit. You're buying the person's time to make the outfit. You're paying for the shipping, you're paying for the materials it takes for them to make it. So usually the price is pretty justified as to why it's so expensive. Ultimately, you're paying for that end product look. You're paying for someone to make the cosplay for you. And also just plan accordingly. Look at the shipping, look how long it's gonna take. A lot of the companies I bought from usually ship from overseas, so if you're planning to get a costume for a Comic-Con or something, make sure you're buying at least probably a month and a half in advance, because it usually takes that long for them to ship, and especially during Halloween time, they get swarmed with requests to make cosplays. Honestly, the best way to start at this level is to just kind of sit down, plan out what costumes you're really interested in, budget what you're kind of looking for, figure out how many pieces you're going to need to the cosplay. Do you want to add a wig to your cosplay after you buy it? Is it going to require a lot of makeup? I know for certain characters, if you were thinking about cosplaying Gamora, you also want to get the green face paint. You also might want to get a wig. That's going to add on to the cost of the overall cosplay. And the other thing too is you don't have to start out with a super high luxe level cosplay right off the bat. You can also look for cheaper versions to start. I know for me, if I'm just looking for a costume that kind of looks like the character just to have for a skit purpose or whatever, I usually go on Amazon or Target, and they usually have the adult Halloween costumes. I know Ruby's costumes is usually the one that's the big one that's sold through Amazon and Target, and these ones are gonna be cheaper. They're usually $60 to $80, and they're gonna look and feel cheaper too. It's gonna be a lot of plastic and cheaper fabric, but it's a good place to start out if you want to have that look but not pay super crazy expensive prices. So definitely budget, sit down, figure out how much you're gonna spend, and then you can buy your first cosplay. And this leads us to the third and final level, which is making your own cosplays, the hard level. I haven't even reached this level yet. I'm hoping to start being able to make my own cosplays. I feel like that would be really fun. I guess if you're closet cosplaying, you're already kind of making your own costumes, but this level that I'm talking about is literally physically making your own cosplays, sewing the thing together, hot gluing things on, 3D printing, sanding, maybe doing woodwork. I don't know. Do people do woodwork on cosplays? Who knows? I'm sure there's some cosplay that probably has woodwork done on it. The cool thing about this is if you have those skills, you can literally just jump right into this level. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of time and patience, which is what you're paying for if you're buying cosplays. So you kind of have to budget that into okay, if I make my own cosplay, I might be saving money in the long run on buying a cosplay, but then I also have to put in the work to physically make this. And will it come out the way that you want it to? Do you have the skill sets to be able to do that, to get it to the level that you want? I said it once and I'll say it again. YouTube is your best friend for this. I'm being serious. Because you can literally look up so many tutorials on how to sew or how to make it. You could literally look up how to make a certain cosplay. I guarantee you there's videos for those. Especially looking at your favorite cosplayers or outfit makers, you can kind of get really good tips from them because they've been doing it for a while, or they know okay, this is how I made the bodice for my dress, or this is how I made my suit look like this. They give you good tips on how they made their suit look the way it does, and you can kind of gauge okay, I want my suit to look like that, so I'm gonna follow their instruction for this. And literally look at your favorite cosplayers' accounts, because I guarantee you they've posted little tutorials, or even just behind the scenes. Even if they're not posting this is how I did it, you can kind of get an idea of what they did and kind of recreate that in your own way. I'm hoping to get to that level. I really want to learn how to make my own clothes. It's been a goal of mine. Like, I want to make a cosplay by sewing it myself, but that's gonna take a lot of learning on my end, and I know that. Maybe this is gonna be the year, guys. Maybe I'll start making my own cosplays, you never know. But anyways, overall, you've got this. Please, please, please don't be discouraged if you're starting cosplay and it's not the way you want it to look right off the bat. Just remember that it takes time and patience and effort to be able to start cosplaying, but it can be super fun once you get into it, and you gotta kind of figure out and gauge like how you want to do it, what levels you're looking at. Remember that a lot of these professional cosplayers that you're seeing either do this for a living or they've been doing it for a really long time, or both, and they have access to buying really expensive, nice looking cosplays, or they have the skill sets that they've been working on for a long time to be able to build their own versions. Sometimes it takes time to get into it, but like once you do, it's so much fun, which is again why I love closet cosplaying. I even still do that for characters. Like if there's a new character that I want to cosplay, I always start with a closet cosplay, because then you're like, all right, this is something that they'd wear. Like, I'm getting to that point, you know? If you've made it this far in the video, I want to know who all of you are cosplaying. Comment down below. I want to know, who are you planning to cosplay for 2023? I know personally I'm looking at a She-Hulk cosplay next, which is going to take a lot of green makeup. That's gonna be new and exciting. I'm also thinking maybe like Agatha or Cassie, or maybe I'll try a Disney princess this year. Maybe Rapunzel. I'm thinking about it. Thank you so much for watching. If you're looking for more videos like this one, or for more Marvel skits, be sure to follow me here and on my other socials, and like and subscribe below, and I will see you next time. Bye!